Hey, welcome to the Jennifer O'Brien Show. I am your host, Jennifer O'Brien. I am so excited. I've got a special guest, Stevie Minner, is joining us on the show today. I met Stevie probably, a couple months ago,
Hmm.
or maybe it's been a month ago.
Yeah, golly.
A
Yeah.
Christian comedy conference here in Georgia. And Stevie has an incredible story and quickly bonded, and just my sister from another mister. Love her energy, her heart. She is just an open book, and you may
Mm.
just love just hearing what she has to share. Her faith in Christ is strong. It's inspiring, and yeah, I just couldn't wait to have her on and just kind of have her share her journey. And man, what a journey it's been. So I'm just gonna kind of turn it over to you and just say, hey, jump into it. Let's get to know this Stevie Minner. How you
Sure. Oh, thank you, Jennifer. Yeah, we're kindred spirit. I enjoyed sitting on the stairwell talking with you, and it was very genuine right out the gate. And I think
Yeah,
both of us got real deep into stuff right away. There was no shame. So, I guess in short, we all have, unique childhoods that are, respective to our life. Um, as a child, I came from a divorced home at the age of 2, and my mother remarried. There was some child sexual abuse, and I was awarded to the state at the age of 12. From 12 to 17, I lived in group homes, not like a traditional foster home where you're fostered and cared for and hugged.
right.
I was in a group home, so every day I had like circle time and counseling, and maybe that's where some of my open bookness comes from, is because I'm like, we've all been molested, haven't we? Like I have no, like I just assume that we all have had some
Up
sort
in
of,
there, right? No,
yeah,
and you know what? I have to just interrupt. That's what I love about you. Like I'm to an age where it's like, can we just get through the small weather? Can we just go right into traumas? Who's got
yeah,
let's just get it. Let's
yeah,
go deep, let's go fast. And
yes.
also was in rehab at 14, and started to go to meetings, and like you just learn to share in circles and therapists.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I love that about you. You're just like bam, and I'm like, oh, I know her life story, and I've only known her for
Yeah.
5 minutes. I love this woman. Like, I love people that just are so real, and I love that. So here you are. So real
Aw,
quick,
yeah.
you're going so fast. 12 years old. You
Uh-huh.
go from like, what is life prior to just, is it normal? Like obviously
Well,
there's abuse happening in your home, or you
I
some.
immediately told my mother, and my mother immediately divorced my then stepdad.
Mhm.
Um, but she herself had trauma as a child. And I think the weight of knowing that she didn't protect me, even though who could have possibly have known, I mean, I guess that does happen actually in some people's childhoods. But my mother, the moment she knew, she was appalled, she was worried, she did what she needed to do. But then the weight of that over the next, because that happened when I was 9, the weight over the next 3 years, she tried to end her life multiple times. So she was then taken into a facility. And then from there, I just had to be awarded to the state. So it wasn't that she didn't want to pursue me and that she didn't want to be there for me, but she just literally had a nervous breakdown. I mean, she hasn't worked since. Um, but she knows the Lord too, and he's sustained her. So it's an interesting thing. We didn't get to bond until much later in my life because I was taken away. And that was from 12 to 17, multiple homes. It just depended on what school could take me in. I went to like non-traditional schools where I don't know, there's one place like open campus high schools, like this place where delinquents went and troubled kids went, and I wasn't troublesome, I was troubled, but that's where like the troublesome kids went. And
Sure.
so I didn't have the best of influences for peers, and so I got involved in a lot of stuff really early on. promiscuity, drug use, etc. So, same, right? You're just introduced to those things. And then it got to the point where I was making really poor decisions and I was court ordered to join the military at 17. And so that's when I joined the military. What's cool about it though is it was right after September 11. And
Wow.
so they needed a lot of police officers. So I went from being a institutionalized, court-ordered juvenile delinquent to a military police officer at the age of 17. And it's just kind of ironic and funny, but oh, I wore that uniform with like so much pride because I was just like, all right, I'm already institutionalized, but now I'm getting paid for it. So it's
So
just like,
would
yeah,
have loved seeing young Stevie go from that transition of you're wild, you're off you're
yeah,
trouble, and all of a sudden now you have the authority.
yeah.
But it's almost like did it shift something in you to take responsibility? Did something within you come alive that you were like,
Oh, yes. And I don't know what it is psychologically, we've broken this down with my therapist, my counselor now, but there was always a part of me that because I didn't want to seek validation from promiscuity or from being used the way that I first like that's how I was first introduced to anything sexual, was and romantic was with a family member. Like that's not right. That kind of messes you up. So for years I had a lot of promiscuity. The military was the first time that I was being acknowledged for what I brought in terms of value and what I could produce through my work ethic and my uniform and how I appeared. And it wasn't sexual. Like so it gave me a huge sense of purpose that was platonic, that was professional. So yeah, I loved it. I ate it up. I did very, very well. I was in for 12 years.
wow.
And during that time, a lot of deployments, I saw a lot, experienced a lot. But
Did you
go
did you
ahead.
find you had a
Yeah.
high tolerance for trauma and chaos? Did you find that you actually did like I know
Oh
some
yeah.
people wake when they're confronted in chaos or trauma like there's a it's almost like a peace that like you just think
Mhm.
clearly and like did you find that
Yeah. Oh yeah.
you did really well in that kind of environment?
I was never shocked because I had already heard it all in the civilian sector as a youth. I mean, there's all sorts of, I never want to talk poorly about the military because I know people sometimes put us on a pedestal, but we're still just humans and we're
Sure.
still operating from the flesh, from a believer standpoint. And I wasn't a believer at the time, but I already was very familiar with operating from the flesh. And so it didn't surprise me when we would find child pornography or when we had to respond to suicides and homicide. Like that doesn't shock you. You're just like, well, I suppose, ratio wise, I've been at this command for 2 years. I figured something like this would happen eventually. Because the military is a very tumultuous environment, too. You work hard, you play hard, everything is kind of done in excess. So, whether it's good or bad, like it's on that spectrum. So, you very quickly get used to just responding to anything as if, this is totally possible and this is what protocol says to do. So, you do become very I guess like black and white, you just strategically handle things and then you just move on. It's another day. There's no holidays, you're either deployed or you're not. It all just runs in as one long service connected enlistment. Like it's just one long whatever. So yeah,
Was it was it nice? Did you feel like it became your family? Like this became an extended family for you when you got into the military?
yeah, my first 5 years, especially. My first 5 years, I was on my very first ship, did two deployments during Operation Enduring Freedom and Iraqi Freedom. So that was after September 11. We went over there, we had gas masks, Tomahawk missiles are going off. I mean, like, it was nuts, but it does not matter what branch of service you're in, because we all came together at that point. It was joint tasks. And everybody was looking out for everybody. So it was this huge sense of purpose, something beyond yourself. And so that I really felt a sense of belonging. It was also before I was married or had kids. And so it was easier to, I guess, feel like that was my family because that was all I had. So it was easy to be deployed. It was easy to be gone for 9 months at a time. That became your world, that floating ship of 5,000 people. So yeah, it was definitely my family for the first 5 years. And then after that, I went on to get married and have kids. And ultimately, that's what made it easy to get out at 12 years, which people think, oh my gosh, you should have gone 20. Perhaps I could have, but when you're the only female, one of the only females in a military police, a male dominated field, you rotate out more often than they can pick from the males. And I had two toddlers, my now teenagers. And so it was easier for me to just get out.
Yeah.
And when I did get out, that's when I pursued something not militant at all. And I think it's because at that point I started to grow weary of all the enforcing,
Mhm.
I did think that the military would be on a pedestal, that we would be above reproach. And in many cases, many sailors and Marines and soldiers are, but there's still the flesh component. And so I was seeing things that I was kind of baffled. I didn't think that that would be in the military, but they're just people. They're just
Yeah.
people. So yeah, so at that point it was like, okay, I'm going to go totally different trajectory, nothing law enforcement. And then that's how I got into the new age.
All
Mhm.
right. So
Yeah,
just a little bit, tell us,
sure.
because I want to, this is, it's starting to get juicy, as they would.
Yeah.
So tell me about your husband and having kids and what's that kind of go a little bit into that before you come out of the military. What's that looking like for
Yeah,
you?
so my husband, while I was in the military, and who I had my two oldest, Caleb and Ava, with, he was military police also, so we rarely got to see each other, unfortunately. But he and I were on shore duty for 3 years together. That's when we had our babies back to back. And, you know, right after we had them, Ava was 8 months old, and I was going back out to sea. And sadly, our relationship really didn't make it because we didn't have much time together. That's how the military kind of operates too, is when you're married, it's one person at sea, one person on shore. Like they don't work. I mean, perhaps now they do, but back in my day, they didn't work with you. It wasn't, one of you are out to sea and one of you are stateside. And so our marriage, it was supposed to work out, and the intention was for it to work out. But ironically, he was a Christian. He was a God-fearing, God-loving man, and I still was not a Christian. And long story short, um, when we got out and I got involved in the new age, it really put a huge wedge between him and I, because now I wasn't just an unbeliever. I was starting to become a practicer of things that were blatantly against what he wanted for his home. And we ended up divorcing, but now we co-parent, and it's a wonderful, respectful, mutually respectful relationship. And then I've since remarried a Christian man and have two toddlers now. And, we all get along as any blended family can, for the sake of the kids, right? But that's just like a brief synopsis of how that went.
Well, okay, cool. All right. So here you are, you're married, you're divorced.
Hmm.
Are you still, when do you step out of the military and do you step out and then get a divorce or do you divorce while you're still active duty?
We He had just gotten out about a year before I did. I got out July 2013. Our intention was to move to Arizona to pursue, a non-militant marriage, right? Like we were excited to start a family and all this stuff. We actually started attending the same holistic arts healing school in Tempe, Arizona. And we started with like nutrition, holistic nutrition, life coaching, things that are like relatively, not too new age, not too occultic, things that are beneficial, right?
Right.
But it was when I started to take more of the healing modalities and more of the, like it branched off into more divination and paranormal stuff, that Brandon was like, this really isn't for me. He's like, the nutrition, I get it, but like some of the things that they're implying are a little bit
Hmm.
overly religious. Like they're not just keeping it neutral at nutrition. They're adding these other pieces. And he
Yeah.
was just not interested. And I was so on board. And within like a year of being there, it was this isn't going to work. That's not
So
going to.
that's when you that's when you so that's when the divorce happens.
Yes.
And does he stay in Arizona or does he go back to wherever?
He stayed in Arizona for a little bit. I too, I continued going to school. We started co-parenting in Arizona. And then when I was in the school, I like a couple years later, I meet this Christian man who then like kind of like is showing me the Christian faith. He had come to the same school and he's like, something doesn't seem right. And I'm like, that's funny you should say that. I'm like, I think this time I'm going to pay attention. We go out, and at the same time, at this point, Brandon and I are well into co-parenting, and we have very different lives and whatnot. He meets the person I'm dating, and turns out he was dating someone from high school back here who he's now married to, and we all moved to Texas right around the same time because he wanted to come back to his hometown of Houston, Texas, to be with her. And Ryan, my now husband, happened to have family here in Houston, Texas. So it was just kind of one of those weird things like, wow, like this is all kind of linking up where we can both be with our significant others and move on in a healthy Christian relationships that we've always wanted now here in Houston. So I don't know, it's just one of those wild things where like God goes before you and you're
Yeah.
like, I couldn't have made this up if I tried to map it out.
And he's faithful even when we're making all sorts of decisions and choices outside of him. But he's
Totally.
because he's not bound by time nor space, he's Alpha and Omega.
Yes.
He knows how it's all going to play out. So he's already
Yes.
before to kind of put that pillow to kind of cushion the link,
Yes.
so to
I'm
speak.
so glad you say that, Jennifer, because I think sometimes it's so easy for us to look at certain sins and to assume that they're too far gone or that God's not moving in it because it's so blasphemous or it's so um, adulterous or what's the other one? It's like, oh, like that's an abomination. So,
Right.
like homosexuality, drug use, people will say, like, oh, that's just too far. God can't meet you there. And it's like, he's closest to those. Like, I
Yeah.
don't even, like, I was in the middle of divination. I was actively practicing paranormal supernatural things.
Mm.
And he was with me then and had a plan then. Like, he knew I got to let this black sheep go pretty far. And then I'm going to let them get zapped a couple times. And then I'm going to, like, he has a plan. And it's
Yeah.
just so nice to hear you say that. Because, yes, it's so easy sometimes to get caught up in what we think is someone being too far gone. And
Oh,
he
sure.
has a plan for them too. He loves them even more than you do.
Oh, and it's kind of that thing where it's like his ways are above our ways. It's
Totally.
and I think religion would have you, well,
Yep.
God can't forgive that, and God's only here, and it's like, hey, according to Jesus,
He already took it on the cross. He already took it on the cross.
and he's not bound by all these things. Like we worship in spirit and truth,
Right.
and God is it's interesting. Like the closer I get to God, and I'm grateful for organized religion, and we need the body of Christ. Christ died for the body of for the body,
Yeah.
right? However, like it does come down to this relationship with the Father and
Yes.
and the finished work of the cross
Yep.
that you gotta like once you get in, it's like you gotta now guard. And for me, like I God has
Yes.
got me tripping so hard on fear of man that I haven't realized has bound me since
Yes. Oh
and
my
organized
gosh.
religion kind of plays into that. People don't intentionally do it, but when you have that so rooted in your story and that kind of that birth.
Yeah.
So just kind of where we're talking, it's like you would think like, oh man, I can't mess up here. And I'm coming out of a season where it's like, okay, you clean all that stuff up, and then you're like, okay, I'm gonna
Yes.
be a really good Christian now. Here it is.
Oh my
I
gosh.
can
Yeah.
do this, and then life hits you, and you're just like, wait, I can't even do that, right? And it's so humbling, and it's almost like I think God he loves our hearts because we wanna
Yeah.
we want to do right. We want to please
Yes.
our Father. But
Yeah.
oftentimes it's just learning to yield and let him do it through us instead of, us trying to clean ourselves up so well. And it's
I
so,
know. Oh my gosh. I know.
yeah,
This is crazy though that you're saying that, Jennifer, because I'm only just now experiencing that because
yeah,
I'm only just now an 8-year Christian. So I'm only just now realizing that the past 3, 4 years I have been religious. And so the last like month, I've just been like, having to unschool myself. And I'm like, what the heck? This is what all my New Age friends who had experienced Christianity before they came to the New Age were trying to warn me of because
yeah.
they were concerned that I was going to join a cult. And I'm like, no, I'm leaving a cult. And then I just joined a new one. And I don't mean that to like poke fun at the Christian faith, but I made my religion an idol at the expense of my relationship with Christ. And so it's like I was in such a pendulum swing to go from the new age to never letting my life look like that ever again, that I've become a bit of a Pharisee.
Oh,
And the past month I'm like, "Oh my gosh,
yeah.
why do I think it's works based? What is going on?" That's
So
like a very new thing for me.
Oh, well, hey, I feel like I've been following Jesus since 21 when I prayed him into my heart in Orlando, Florida, in my kitchen. My dad led me in this prayer.
Awesome.
Holy Spirit came in my chest. It was crazy, cool. But I mean, I'm 50 now. So 29 years later, like
Hmm.
I one thing I think God's like, hey, you know what? Like we're not going to get too comfortable here. Not that he doesn't care about my soul, but
Yeah.
religion, unfortunately, like because of trauma and stuff in my past, I'm very performance focused and I didn't even realize
Yes.
how attached I get to trying to prove and try, and God is just delivering me slowly but surely out of.
Praise the Lord.
You said something about, I love what you said, leaving this cult to join that cult. I think you and I talked a little bit about Jamie Winship. I don't know if you've heard him. He used to be a cop in DC, Metro DC. He's written a book called Living Fearless, and I
Yeah,
love
you mentioned it on the staircase.
oh, trust me, I'm like I just been listening to everything I can on him, like what he shares. But when he would talk about, people will say, well, I'm a Christian, and some people are like, I'm a Muslim, and he's like, you're just telling me what gang you're in.
Right.
Like, and the way he breaks it down, it's so true. It's like we all get so caught up in these
Yes.
titles and even religion, like, well, I'm Presbyterian, well, I'm Methodist, well, I'm Pentecostal, well, and it just gets to be so tribal and weird.
Yeah.
And like I'm a Christ follower, but even
Yeah.
it's like just all these titles, like if you just really, and I know the enemy of our souls loves the division and loves
Absolutely.
stuff that
Yep.
really just keeps us now. Oh, now I'm like, we changed churches 3 years ago. Well, now I'm
Hmm.
in this church. Okay, what is this church? Oh, now let me
Right.
I believe over here. Oh, I mess up. And it's just like
Yeah.
you don't even see it. Sometimes you don't
Yeah.
see it until God's like, whoop, and you're like, oh.
Totally.
Anyway, so
Yeah. No, that's exactly where I'm at right now because I was like, oh, it needs to look like this. And I went based off of what I thought society, when I would look at Christians, this is what they did. And then, yeah, total mind
yeah,
altering. Like, there's a lot happening right now, just even in the last month, where God's like, Stevie, just me and you for now. Just me and you.
yeah.
And things will happen and you'll be moved and I'll move you. And it's kind of nice to be back in that position because that's where I initially was when I came
Resting.
out of the new age. It
Feel
was
like you're resting.
relationship.
Yeah, and isn't there a restfulness that comes, like it's almost like
Oh,
it's that easy. Jesus is like, hey, you know what? Come follow me. My yoke is easy, my burden is light. You don't
yep.
realize that yoke of religion, because you never see it happening. It's done so covertly, like you're just it's so underground. You don't realize it. You're just yesing and doing until
Yeah.
until you have a nervous breakdown and you're like, I
Yeah.
can't do nothing but just sit here and stare at a fire and drink hot tea all the time. You're like, I think
Exactly.
I need to reassess the situation. I'm kidding.
Yes.
But so, kind of kidding, not really.
Yeah.
Here we are. You're in Arizona. So
Mhm.
now we're back in. I need to know this. Where
Yeah.
this occult stuff? Like, I just need to. That's fascinating to me
Yeah.
because.
So basically, 2013 is when I got out of the Navy, started going to that school. Brandon was with me for a little bit in that school. He decided to depart with all his wisdom, and I wanted to pursue, and I wanted to continue with the healing arts. And very quickly, it went from sort of, 101, like holistic nutrition and eating well for your body. And then it went into life coaching, which nothing wrong with that, right? Let's just all hash out how to live a better life. But then very quickly it became Reiki and polarity and body work and the exchange of energy. And what's crazy is I was very involved in yoga. And I know some people, they'll come at me for this because they're not quite ready to leave it yet. And listen, if the Lord doesn't convict you, don't. I don't care. He's a personal savior. Your walk's not going to look like mine, nor mine yours. But when I practice yoga, I practiced the Sanskrit language for 3 years, and I know every deity that I was bowing to in those poses, and I can't unlearn that. So when I became a new creation in Christ, I promised him that my life wouldn't look like it did before in the world. And so you won't see me doing yoga. It's not going to happen. And it's just because I can't unlearn this sacred it was a religion to me. I practiced Buddhism, the transcendence of ego. Like I practiced these things. And so basically it just got into all these different modalities that were healing. And it's not to say that the Lord wasn't in all of it either, though. I'm not saying he was in it like an ascended master that I thought he was. I'm saying that he saw big picture me living that lifestyle because he knows that I'm the type of person who's very open to the supernatural and the paranormal. So he had to allow all these things to enter my life. And I was experiencing that next 3 years was impressive to the world, to my flesh. I experienced a lot of fame and a lot of fortune as a comedian and an author. I was using pendulums every day to determine what I would eat. I mean, I was very into this idea of I'm going to use these higher beings or my higher vibration. That's how we talk. And I'm going to let this guide me. And I know for a fact I was, you know, practicing with spirits. Like I was definitely utilizing these deities to help me make decisions. And that's not even not biblical. I didn't know it at the time, but the Bible's the only thing that when you read it word for word, I'm like, man, that really accounts for what I was experiencing. Satan is in charge of the airwaves. And the very things that he promised Jesus or tempted Jesus with, he gave me. I had the taste of fame and fortune. It wasn't until 4 years into being there that, I'm regularly doing all sorts of medium tarot cards. I even used angel cards because those are seemingly less, you know, we would say that, oh, it's a little less demonic or whatever, oh, but we're dealing with angels, never mind fallen angels, but like, it's like, oh, they're angel cards, no big deal, light, love, and light, right? And this isn't to poke fun. I hear now the delusion. I hear the lie, And I recall one evening I had asked my kids, my now teens, but at the time they were like 6 and 7, and I had asked them to go brush their teeth. And they just stood in the hallway in complete terror. And my son, who's the older one, spoke up for him and Ava, and he said, "We can't go in there." And I said, "What? Why can't you go in there? What's going on?" They saw a demon on my bed.
Mm.
And when I asked Caleb to explain to me what he saw, he said that it was darker than darkness.
Wow.
Like how does a kid even like that's the best he could do to explain. I had them draw it on paper in separate rooms. I won't even begin to describe, okay, but clearly supernatural elements.
Mhm, mhm.
Feet spinning in wheels, hooves, like just, I mean, it was wild what they drew. And my mind is thinking, okay, but how could that entity have come into our home? Because at the time, I still believed in higher vibrational beings and lower vibrational beings. I was doing past life regression, this idea that, oh, souls that have yet to carry on are still present, and depending on what they did here and karma, and there's so you cherry pick all these different beliefs to kind
Mhm.
of help you reconcile what you're doing. And so I would say, oh, well, clearly a low vibrational being just entered our home, and I just need to have our friends come over. So my friends come over and they put over several, they're saging, they're putting several crystals in different corners. They're pulling out Akashic records. I mean, we're just dabbling in even more divination, okay? And under the premise of, hey, we're here to help.
Yeah.
And I'd like to say that there was temporary relief, but there wasn't. I was unsettled that my children weren't settled, because I thought, surely if I'm receiving all this fame and fortune and good luck, and why is that not extended to my children? And
Mhm.
it was because it was affecting my children that it kind of woke me up to
Yeah.
start asking what is
Yeah.
going on. And
Mhm.
at the time, my daughter Ava had a friend, um, Savannah. And Savannah's mother, I knew she went to church. You could see it on her Facebook. And so, like, one day after a play date, within like a month of that happening, it was right after a play date, and we're sitting on the driveway. I was picking up Ava, and I'm like, hey, Jana, just quick question. You do that Christian thing, right? Like, I didn't even know how to like approach it. I'm like, you're like one of those believers, right? I'm like, what do you think about this? And she's like, girl, you need to talk to my pastor about some spiritual warfare. And I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, bet, let's go. So I started attending that church, and it was called Life Point. It was in Santan Valley, Arizona. And the very first sermon, the preacher was like, I'm not really like a love and light preacher. He's like, I'm just going to give it to you straight. I'm more of a pain and suffering pastor. And I needed to hear that because I had already been around the love and the light. I needed somebody who was going to make sense
Yeah.
of this like struggle I was having. Like, it
Yeah.
was no longer effortless. It was no longer me, myself, and I, and this like self-love. And I now it was like, oh man, I've got kids involved, and it's coming after my children. Like, there was something about it attacking my children that I I don't know, it snapped me out of it.
Yeah.
And shortly thereafter, you start to hear the gospel, and everything's making sense because I'm talking to them about divination and stuff. And they're like, oh, yes, and they would reference it biblically. And I'm like, man, this accounts for everything I'm talking about, like possession, everything. They didn't hold back. They were like, Stevie, listen, like, this is our struggle is not against flesh and blood. This is Ephesians. We're talking spiritual warfare here. So it was wonderful because I wasn't scoffed or laughed at. I know sometimes I have witnessed Christians think that something as simple as a fortune cookie, and again, I'm not shaming anybody, okay? But when we make these things an idol, or we start to get into divination like necromancy and mediumship and things like that, it's so easy with tarot cards and stuff. Oh, they think they're a psychic. Listen, that's real. And someone is really toying with something that is causing a wedge between them and the Lord. And so I was so grateful that here I was expressing all this, and it wasn't dismissed as a little hobby and Stevie's a little misguided. It was, Stevie, you have got chains on you, and you were being blinded, and now the light's trying to seep through, and we've got to rebuke this. And so from that point on, it was taken so seriously that it helped me. I started burning everything and anything, all the books that I had written and had printed and didn't care, all the paintings that people had painted me. And of course, it broke my heart because I knew people had made them out of the goodness of their heart, but they made it while they were channeling. They made it while, and it was like, oh, if they really love me, and I really love them. Like, they'll get it later, they'll understand later, or they won't. I don't care. I just know that I've got to separate whatever this is. And
Yep.
so, after burning everything and then leaving the college I was attending, and I had then started teaching at it because I had such success with the book and the comedy that they asked me to teach there. And so I started teaching. I had to leave it all behind, and I didn't know how I was going to make it, but I mean, the Lord, it was crazy, but he has continued to sustain. And not with wealth, like I definitely lost all those things, but that's why too now I'm like so free because I don't need fame or fortune. Like
Yeah.
to be honest, when I had that taste of it, it was exhausting because everybody wants to tell you their opinion. And then you
Yeah.
have the weight and the chains. I mean, I feel bad for entertainers and celebrities now if any of the elite agenda stuff is true. I mean, it wouldn't shock me. It wouldn't surprise me. It's like, yeah, Satan, that's what you do. I get it. You have them sign. I nearly signed my life away.
Mm.
And like so it doesn't surprise me if that's the truth, but I feel for them and I have a heart for them where sometimes I see Christians don't. It's so easy to just scoff at what we see on
Yeah.
Hollywood or be dismissive or disgusted and it's like they are blind. They are blind or they are entrapped. And we should have compassion for them. No different than Jesus had for me. He met me in the middle of that, you
Yeah.
know?
That's
Yeah.
awesome. Wow. I mean, woo, that's like, I love when you got it. It was like this, um, you were determined to get free,
Yeah.
and it's like once the light switch went on and you saw it, it was like, okay, out, out, out. And that you had enough
Yeah.
people, that didn't scoff at it or be like, oh, it's no big deal, just, yeah, whatever. Because I,
Yeah.
to be honest with you, like, there are churches out there, and I did yoga for years as a Christian.
Mhm.
I just
Yeah.
did. I mean, I had, and you know what? I plead the blood of Jesus on the mat. I wasn't thinking about it.
Yeah.
Now, I will tell you this, in the last, 3, 4 years, I've been doing deep dives on everything. So I woke up
Yeah.
to a lot of stuff. And even to this last season where I was going through stuff, I was trying to discern what God said yes and no to. So I actually
Totally.
I went to a couple yoga classes,
Yeah.
not a piece. I couldn't focus.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
But I love that God, I asked God, is like, I want to see, is this me? Is this the religion? It,
Right.
where are you in this? Because I'm trying to find you, and I'm
Yes.
trying to find where my boundary lines and you are.
Yes.
So he let me go back to a couple classes. I mean, I don't recommend that, but if,
Yeah. Right.
God is so,
Personal savior. Personal savior.
and so, oh,
Yeah.
I just think I was so inundated with so much of like,
Hmm. Hmm.
that I needed to hear, and I needed to hear and feel for and know that that was my conviction, and not because I saw a video or because I watched.
Totally. Yes. Yeah.
I never had certain ties. I mean, please, I did stuff. I did Ouija boards. I had tarot
Yeah.
cards. I know I opened up in my teenage years to certain things.
Totally.
However, I similar. I started learning
Yeah.
about deliverance in the last few years. I can't even tell you half the stuff I threw away that I haven't told. Like, I'm talking about
Oh, yeah.
family
Yeah.
stuff,
Yeah.
money, that I'm
Yeah.
like, look, just in
Yeah.
case some things attached to this, we're going to let it go. Trust that God
Yes.
will bring back what I need. And
Yeah.
was I a little, maybe, yeah, maybe there were some things that I was just like, I was just throwing
Yeah.
what was happening. I was just,
To your point, when the church was guiding me to do that, they were operating from their understanding of having not dabbled in divination, but they knew that they were like, we believe you should do this. You should show, because what comes first, obedience or change? The answer is yes. Sometimes he changes you first and then obedience comes. Sometimes obedience comes first and then he changes you. And so all the things that they invited me to do, I did willingly. And I think that because of that obedience, what actually brought me to him though, my personal relationship, I was doing all these things kind of going with the motions, right? Kids go to youth group, they hear the message, they try, but it's not until they have the personal one-on-one. And I was driving on the 387. At this point, I had thrown things away. I had burnt stuff. I had tried to leave the college. I still had a couple classes left. I'm trying to figure it out with my GI Bill and all this stuff. And I was on the 387, and I remember I was thinking, I still didn't know I didn't know him. I just knew that, like, that was the direction that I was being told to go. And I just said out loud, I was like, capital T truth, whatever you are, I want to know. And I was ready. It could have been Bigfoot. It could have been anything because at that point I was open to it all. Like I was working with all sorts of entities that presented themselves in whatever way. And I just thought, okay, beam me up, Scotty, whatever it's going to be. And can I tell you, I had to pull over the car. I'll never forget it. I was literally filled with every fiber of my being was filled with compassion that was not my own. I was like immersed in absolute unconditional love, but I was in the presence of something holy. And I didn't know what that holiness was until I was made aware. Like, I didn't know I was unholy until I was in the presence of his holiness. And it was like God fearing, but also you knew you were precious to this entity. Like I cannot reconcile it. I can't, there are not words to describe it, but I can't deny it. And once I knew that, I was like, oh my gosh. Like, and it was like a knowing, like a capital K knowing that I can't unknow. I knew that I was created. I knew that I was divinely, intentionally created, and that everything up until that point, he still loved me unconditionally. But also there was a fear. And that was the beginning of wisdom, was the fear. I was aware that there was a being that I was not worthy of being with, but also wanted to be with me. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
It's an upside down kingdom. And that's why the gospel makes sense that he would die so that he could be with us. Like it all started to click because once I experienced that, I never questioned again that I was a sinner, that I knew. I've known since the moment I was in his presence that, yep, I'm a wretch. I am wretched, but I'm so valued and pursued. And like it's nuts. Like you sound nuts, you know?
Yeah.
We're all a little nuts, us Christians. And then it's like you try to convince, but only the others that have experienced that so far know that. And
Yeah.
so you're just, yeah, it's like, oh my gosh. I like once you know, you know. And there's no,
Yeah. And
can't
you
deny it.
just freedom feels so good. And
Yes.
honestly, Christ, I love in Philippians, it's like he's come and he's gonna do a complete work, and some of that
Yes.
it comes in, like, for me, it comes in waves. It comes
Oh,
in cycles, where he cleans
yes.
you up, you get good, you go and you carry on, and then hey, it's time for a little more training. It's time to undo some
Yes.
other, and it's
Maturing, right?
yeah,
Pruning.
yeah. And
Yeah.
it's like my husband and I talk, it's like he came that we would have life to the full. It's an abundant life, but it doesn't mean that we're not going to suffer, that we're not going to go through it, that we're not going to go
Yeah.
through the fires. And it's like, but the thing is, it's like, but he's with us in it. He's not
I
abandoning
know.
us.
Yeah.
Like nothing's snatching us out of his hands. We can't even
Yeah.
sabotage it. It's just this beautiful, I have
I
got
know.
you. And it's just like, yeah,
And in the suffering,
yeah.
there are moments that you recognize you're growing closer to him because you're saying, Lord, why? And it's like in the pounding on the chest, you start to realize you're just trying to show me your love for me. You're just trying to show me your long suffering for the world. Because we sit here and go, why? And he's like, yeah, imagine like I'm trying to make you more like Christ. I'm trying like
Yeah.
to endure, right? We're to endure.
Right.
That means to stand fast in the midst of the tribulation. Like I I don't know, the word, everything that you read, it's just so different from the lens of when we read abundance, the way that you're saying it, that it's about the blessing and the favor, but it doesn't come in the way that the world would give it.
Mm-mm.
And
No.
it's like the minute, and that's that wisdom. It's like, okay, okay. And then you appreciate that you're learning supernatural things. You're being literally like your spirit, your soul, whatever's happening, you're being chiseled and carved and made new. And it's, I don't know, it's like, how do you even explain that to somebody? But a fellow Christian understands. Like,
Yeah.
they're not blind anymore. And so you start to rejoice in the pruning. which is also why we shouldn't shame each other because, like you said, it comes in cycles. I'm
Mhm.
just now realizing that because, when I first left the New Age, I thought, okay, I'm going to get rid of all that stuff and da 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 da. And then I just became this like, I don't do this, I don't do that, I don't do this. And all that was great for my personal testimony. But then I found myself in church.
Mhm.
I have judged other people whose lifestyle still reflects certain things that I did in the world. And I'm
Yeah.
like, what is going on with me? Like, and I didn't realize I was doing that until recently. And like really recently, like a month ago, Jen. And then I was like, you know what? I have forgotten where I came from.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so now he's like, just come back. Just come back to me.
Yeah.
Just come back. Don't forget your first love.
Yeah.
Remember where I met you on the 387, a mess. It
Yeah.
wasn't any of your works. And
No.
he has a plan
Yeah.
for
Well,
everybody. Who am
it
I to say what should change? Yeah.
well, it goes back to, where God's like, "Hey, why don't you focus in on the plank in your eye and don't worry about the specks." And
Totally.
and I think the reason he kind of sometimes brings us back to ourselves, because I mean, I'm a full-time job. I mean, man, I'm
Yeah,
what, 29. I mean,
totally.
and I know there's a lot of work to still be done in me.
Same.
But I know when we can get honest about our own planks,
Yes.
I think when we can glance over, and then the reason we take care of those things, then yeah, maybe we'll glance over like, oh, she's got that speck in her eye over there.
Hmm.
But I think if we've done the work on ourselves, and
Yeah.
we've gone through those things, that in the right season, in the right time, I think that we'll be able to help those people with those specs, and maybe not in a
Yeah.
way that's like judging, because
Right.
you get enough. I mean, it's humble. It's a
Yes.
humbling existence to be a Christian,
Oh
because
my
if you're
gosh.
truly
All day,
walking
every day.
with Jesus, he's going to show you things that will just rock you to your core.
Yep.
Not that but he wants to keep us of sober mind and spirit, because it's easy to get religious. It's easy to get
Totally.
stagnant, and
Yeah.
it's easy to kind of go through the motions. And trust me, we all want comfort. We all want to be comfortable. Like, I get it. Like, and I have to be honest with God. That's why I'll bring Jamie Winship up again. It's like, confess it. I confess, like, God,
Totally.
I want
Yeah.
to be comfortable. God, I don't really want to have to lean on you today. I just want to not think too much today. Like, all these things, I just get it in the light with him.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Just like, could you just get, this is a day. I was so tired. I was doing some exercising like last couple of days, so I'm wiped out. And some people were coming over, and I just had to get real. And I'm like, old me, even old me, right? Like, old me, like, I'm still a work in progress.
Yeah.
I avoid, God is showing me how I would avoid things that would make me weak or feel weak or tired or exhausted.
Mm. Hmm.
And what he's teaching me is like, it's okay to feel those things. Now ask for grace. That's what my power's
Mm.
perfected in those areas of weakness. But
Yeah.
it's
Oh, wow.
I'm still learning that. Like, again and again, it's like he brings me back to, that's what grace is for. Ask
Yeah.
me for my power.
Yeah.
Ask me for my
Yeah.
strength, and stop trying to be perfect. And I think what wants to rise up, and I don't know, this may be true of all people, you want to get to a point where you're like, I'm good. You can stay over there. I got it now. Like, let me show
Totally.
you that I got it. And God's like, that's
Yeah.
not how it works. Like,
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
the further we go in this, the more
Yes.
we realize we really just need to stay tucked in with him, abide.
Yeah.
Like, the best thing, that's our best bet, is
Yeah.
complete and total reliance on him, and
Hmm.
letting him do it through us.
Yeah. It's such a world thing to be like, I've got this on my own,
Yeah.
be isolated but I noticed more recently, the last 2 years, I was working at a food pantry at a church, and then they asked me to fill in for women's ministry. And I'm like, who, me? Like, that's not my calling. That's not my, but the Lord showed me a lot in that. And I realized that I don't ever want to be on church staff. I am much better off as an on fire congregant because behind the scenes, I heard more flesh than I was ready to deal with. You have got to be truly have a lot of grace for fellow believers when you're in a ministry capacity because, in my mind, I'm like, I don't know. I just struggled a great deal with people not being open about their things they were struggling with, and because it just naturally came easy for me to talk openly about my whatever. And I started judging, assuming that everyone's walk was going to look like mine. And I don't know, it's just I've just been in a hairy place where I'm like, dang, man, I even the most recent Christian conference we went to, I remember kind of thinking, well, that's not very Christian comedy. Like I would have moments where I'm like, that's not God honoring, and I'm like, why am I judging them? Why am I doing that? And I think it goes back to like me just constantly, I was getting frustrated that I have been working on the log in my eye. And so I got so tired of doing that I wanted to start seeing what was going on in other people's like,
Yeah.
well, at least I don't do that anymore. Like it's just like, oh my gosh, I'm such a Pharisee. I like what is happening?
No,
And
I get
I don't know, it's just been a total I'm just very humbled right now and I have been for the past month that I stepped down from that position. I was like my heart is hardening. And I told the senior pastor that and he's like, "Thank you for being aware of that. But yeah, that's not a good place to be, Stevie." And so, it's one, and he's obviously a great mentor and he's been walking me through it. And he's like, trust me. He's like, I've been here 50 years. I've been doing this for 50 years. And he's like, it is a calling. And, I'm like, yeah, I was not called to it. I filled the spot for a little bit, but I do think the Lord allowed me to be there because I would have always questioned, Lord, is that where you want me? Is that what it means to go from one pendulum of New Age to another? Do I now have to be a minister? Do I have to, and it was like, I don't even know if women are supposed to be ministers. I still don't even think that that's like a that's like a huge you get into all I don't even know. I'm like I don't even know. I don't want to get into like all the I just want to focus on my relationship with Christ.
Yeah.
And now is where it's that peace that you're talking about in the freedom. I'm so content.
Yeah.
If I never have another opportunity to be on stage or to like it's like great because the pressure of the accountability now that I'm a Christian, it's
Yeah.
a whole nother level. Even at the conference, I was struggling, girlfriend. I was like, ooh, I don't know if I could even joke about this stuff anymore. It's just this constant reflecting of is
Right.
my personal walk
Yeah.
showing him glory?
Mhm.
Or am I backtracking a little bit? Or am I, and it can get kind of exhausting, but then that's where it's like, oh Lord, today I'm just going to rest in you.
Yeah.
And, but it's hard. I think it's difficult being a Christian. The
Sure.
yoke is easy, the burden is light, but there's still a yoke nonetheless. You're
Yeah.
still affixed to, connected to, and it's dependent upon us resting in Him. Otherwise, it does get daunting. Like, it's not easy. It's not easy. And you don't want anything, for me anyway, it's like, man, I want to be a good witness. So there's this constant desire
Yeah.
to be purposeful and to, point people back. And so it's just, I don't know. I'm with you, girlfriend.
I think that even that statement, like just keeping it real, I
Yeah.
think that I'll be honest, like sometimes I'll put like a Christian radio station on and the DJ's going back and forth, like the talk, I cringe in my stomach a little bit. I'm like, oh my gosh, you guys are too like uppity. And and I'm like, oh God, forgive my heart. Like I get
Yeah.
super critical of like, it's
Yeah.
like, what is it? Is it Ned Sanders from like The Simpsons?
Landers from
Yeah.
Simpsons.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's been years since I watched that show, but it's like
Totally.
that kind of like sometimes I feel critical of that.
Oh, me too. But I think it's because I'm projecting onto them my frustration that they make it look effortless and I'm over here, you
And
know,
and this last
battling the same flesh problems.
Well, we're all working on something. Like I
Yeah.
think it's it's being honest about the real struggle. Like we
Yes.
and even those Christians that I'm like, "Oh man, you're too up." They've got their stuff too. Like we all have
Yeah.
stuff. And as we can just get really honest and confession and just say, "Hey, look, I'm struggling today with this, that, or
Yeah.
the other." I think
Yeah.
that's the best we can do, and just let God walk it out in us.
Yeah.
But it's like, because then you're gonna master that area. You'll get maturity.
Mhm.
And then you'll go to another area where God is like, okay, now we're gonna work more over here. But
Yeah.
I know it's the hardest, bestest thing you'll ever do.
Yeah. No,
Like,
totally.
it's like
Yeah.
Peter, like when everybody's deserting Jesus, like, do you guys want to leave too? It's like, to whom shall we go? Like,
Yeah.
I know what we have our hands on.
Hmm.
Yeah, this is it. Like, we're living the life. But yeah, there's it's the same coin, but there's a challenge to it. I do think though that I long for more authentic Christ
Yes. Me
Christianity.
too.
Like,
Yeah, you show me yours, I'll show you mine.
yeah,
Let's just, it's, yeah, that vulnerability really opens up a space for transparency, but then also for us to come alongside one another and be like, hey, been there, done that, there's no shame.
yeah,
Or, you know, it, different sins for different people, but there's still no shame, you know?
yeah,
I, you and I connected right away. I felt very much like you're very open, and there was no, because there is no shame. We shouldn't be embarrassed. But I have learned one thing is that you can't go and tell everybody because people are in a different level of maturity, and
yeah.
also they've experienced different things. So sometimes people can be appalled or not ready to
Mhm.
hear the things you struggle with. And so it's like maybe that's a gift that I could lend somebody is no matter what you say, it's not going to shock me. Like
Yeah.
been there, done that, share it. And so I don't know, maybe that's I think for so long though, I wasn't finding people like you. I was assuming that I had to look like the majority of the Baptist church I was attending the last couple of years. And those are good, godly women that have worked out their salvation or their sanctification rather, not their salvation, but they've worked through it for 30 years, like it's an older demographic at the church. And like their big reveal of their sin would seemingly to me be like, oh, I still struggle with that one. We haven't even got there yet. Like I'm like, he delivered me from other things. And they never shamed me, but you could tell that there was just a difference in what we've walked through. And
Yeah.
sometimes it's just nice I think I've longed for peers my
Mhm.
age. I've
Mhm.
longed for just the authentic dialogue that comes from, you know, a friendship with you. That has already been something so different than,
Yeah.
and I started to get critical of the church when
Mhm.
that's not fair. They're all walking their lives and they're at where they're at.
Sure.
And it's a different demographic too. It's just a
Yeah.
different lifestyle. And so I think my next step is if I were to return to a church, I need to find something a little more relevant, I guess, to my life and what I've got going on with teens and toddlers and divorce and blended family. I think that's where there's strength in gathering, right? Um, but I don't know. Even then, I'm afraid, can I be fully myself? And so sometimes it's even you. Maybe we don't attend the same church or the building, but it's the body, not a
Yeah.
building. And so this is church and this
Absolutely.
suffices,
That's
you
right.
know?
Absolutely. Yeah, my husband and I, we have friends over and we gather, and we definitely feel more of that pool. And we do attend a church and everything, but there's nothing like house church. Like, man,
Yeah.
house church. And because when you have smaller groups and you get in there and you start really opening up the Bible and you start applying discipleship, it's
Yeah.
it's transformative. And I think getting back to kind of some basics is where I kind of long. I think, I long for the conversation. I long for the
Yeah.
connection. And I think different seasons of our lives, God's going to place us in different places. Uh, just so that we can be part of the body of Christ. But I didn't know that about where you were at, and I get it. Like, I have friends that all over the map. I mean, we all different churches, different denominations. Um, but we're in such a time where I love that we can get connected. And to me, like
Yeah.
this whole conversation has felt like church. And I know we're kind of hitting that hour mark. And oh man, I feel like we could just chat all night. But as we kind of come to a close here, like any kind of closing thoughts or just anything on your heart that you feel like, man, this is something that I'd like to just share before we wrap it up here.
I just I just appreciate so much that you're willing to say that even 29 years into it, you're still being pruned
Hmm.
because I'm over here. This is my first time visiting kind of a snag and
Hmm.
now realizing, and it kind of it scared me a little bit because it's like, oh my gosh, I thought this was the answer. And so I guess just like realizing that it really is as simple as a personal relationship with Jesus, because from that, all other convictions or whatever's unique to your relationship and where he wants to guide you, that'll happen in the
Yeah.
one-on-one. And so just being reminded that it's just about relationship. And it kind of like gives me a breath of fresh air to know that organized religion, while seemingly meaning well,
Hmm.
that too can become an idol. And the
Sure.
truth is, it has for me.
Yeah.
I'd be happy to dissect that with you so we can, you know, I've never been there. I'm only just now there. And I'm like,
Yeah.
holy smokes, how do I backtrack out of this? How do
Hmm.
I mend my hardened heart a little bit? Because that's where I'm at. That's the truth. Is that like, I don't want to go back to church right now. And
No,
so it's like, how do we, that's just the truth of where I'm at. It doesn't change the fact that he's my Lord and Savior
Mhm.
and that I know he's working in me. But I stopped going directly to him and I started getting works-based again and
Yeah.
getting back into, oh, it's got to look this way. So, yeah, I don't know.
I
But,
love, well, it
yeah.
it is it is a journey, and he's never done with any of us. And you know, I mean, we go, it's hard to speak in because it's such a unique place. And like
Yeah.
where you're at is a very unique place. I do know that church hurt is real and that we hit these stumps where, sometimes God is calling us out of one place to move us to another. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, like I'm one of those people, like it's got changes because of what I fight change
Oh,
until he takes me into a place like he's had me to where
yeah.
I'm ready to jump off a cliff. I'm like, let's go. Like I'll do any change,
Oh,
right?
see, I have a realization as you say that I'm the opposite. It's so easy for me to
Mhm.
just cut people out and move on. And then that's isolation. And that's how the enemy gets me. Because military, group home, people
Yeah,
come, people go. I just toodaloo.
yeah,
And so this is new for me to
yeah.
to be part of the body,
Hmm.
you know?
And it's good. And listen, part of that is like you're gonna find like we've kind of done church with a group of people for many years, and we've some of us have moved on, some of us changed congregations, but there's something that the Lord will knit together, and He's going to find
Yeah.
your people, and He'll knit you with them, and you're going to do life together. And even though you might not worship in the same church building, I
Yeah.
think that He does do that, and He brings in some old, and sometimes or brings back some of the old and sometimes the new. And I think it's just being open to how
Yeah.
but I have been trained, and this is because I've been in organized religion my whole entire life basically, except for a couple years. I do know Christ died for the church. The body of Christ is so important to him. But
Yeah.
you just said it, like we're having church here. However, it's like finding those people that have your back, that you can just
Yeah.
get right to it. Like those and
You're the first person.
what's
You're
that?
the first person that I knew right away on the stairwell. You're the first person that I have run into since becoming a Christian where it was just instantly authentic and vulnerable and kind of candid, and it
Mhm.
was a relief. And so this is the beginning of something new because it's like perhaps I can still have that.
Oh, you
I
can.
just
And they're
assume.
there. They're there.
Yeah,
You're just now our prayer for you is going to be God, where are they? Because
right.
they exist in your area. I know that
Totally.
it's
Yes.
just finding those people that
Yeah.
you can connect with.
Yeah.
And until then, building that community and finding, okay, who are my people, and
Yeah.
like I said, that's going to come and go and it's going to change in different seasons. And
Yeah.
man, it's a beautiful journey, but girl, I
Yeah.
could just chat with you all day long. I know
Your
whoever
time.
listens to this going to get set free, is going to get excited. I just say, um, if this story resonated with you, I hope it does. And if not you, you might know somebody. So share this podcast. If you think it'll help somebody who maybe has some a similar background being in the occult. And yeah, Stevie, I would love for us to get on here and do this again. I mean, honestly, I could just talk. And I know we didn't go so deep into a lot of other things, but we
Yeah.
landed on exactly what we needed to land on today.
Yeah.
So
Thank you. It's
yeah,
just so
thank
nice to
you.
then be
So
okay with saying it's there's still things to be continued. There's still things that are being pruned, you know? What a
and
safe space to say that. So
that's
thank you.
right. Hey, come on. So, all right. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I'm gonna wrap it up. And
Thank you.
Stevie, we'll put all your stuff in the show notes. Anybody that would like to kind of follow you and see what's going on with you, that will all be in the show notes. So thanks for tuning in to the Jennifer O'Brien Show. And Stevie, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me. God bless you, Jennifer.